What do you get when you give two developers a cardboard box, a padlock, and some matrix equations? At Kakapo Labs, at least, you get an interactive 2D augmented reality mystery box. Our mission to explore the boundary between the physical and digital world means we often find ourselves on the stranger side of tech. From our AI-powered love machine, which treated users to chocolate in exchange for compliments, to Olga, our fortune-telling robot, we've continued to experiment with how reward mechanisms can translate into interactive experiences. Our previous projects featured reward mechanisms that required people to come and interact with our contraptions. This is great for places with large groups of people, but we wanted to find a way to make a reward mechanism that comes to you. We stumbled upon the ability to project an image onto a QR code whilst working on another one of our projects, Checker. A quick reversal of some code, matrix maths, and a few tweaks left us with a blank 2D augmented canvas to project whatever we wanted. With our discovery in mind, we challenged ourselves to create another interactive experience that pulls on behavioral psychology using the following constraints. Includes 2D augmented reality, low cost, suitable for a broad, diverse audience, adaptable, and fun. An interactive mystery or puzzle box seemed to be the best way to meet our brief. A box small enough to be posted, but big enough to hold interesting contents, with flat surfaces for our interactive QR code and the ability to be locked from the outside. But two main questions still remained. What was the interaction going to entail? And what was the reward going to be? When designing interactive experiences, there's always a danger of tech being used just for the sake of it and failing to add any substance. Adding a simple combination lock was incredibly effective in tying the physical world to the digital experience. The padlock transformed what could have been a box with a QR code on it, which led to an incidental adjacent experience, into a game with real-life risk and reward. From a psychological perspective, these are fundamentally different experiences. Having decided on the universal theme of mischief, we use reverse psychology to prompt interaction, surrounding the QR code with a frame of text reading "Do not scan" in the hope that it sparks the cheeky center of the receiver's brain. The "Do not scan" messaging and our general theme of mischief influenced the design of the rest of the box, the structure of the story behind the interaction, and dictated the theme for the contents. Taking advantage of the augmented reality setting, we animated the QR code itself by using the black squares to form the face of our alien. This put the QR code at the center of the receiver's attention and kept it there. Our experience needed to be suitable for a broad, diverse audience, which meant ensuring our code worked for both Apple and Android devices as they have different ways of recognizing QR codes, making sure any dialogue was accompanied by subtitles, and keeping the task simple. Pivoting from our previous interactive projects, which use app-based methods of communication like WhatsApp, we decided to switch to a web app for our mystery box. The interaction was accessed through the browser, which meant users weren't required to download an app. This left us with one less barrier for interaction and ensured the whole experience was as smooth as possible for the receiver. Creating fun and engaging experiences at low cost requires good storytelling. We wanted to tie the QR code into the narrative of our mystery box, so an alien trapped inside the QR code who rewarded the scanner for ignoring the warnings and setting it free seemed to fit the brief. It was universal enough to engage a diverse audience without being too polarizing or controversial, and this storyline gave us freedom to get creative with how we decorated the box. In the spirit of recycling, we tried to use materials and resources that we already had, like leftover faux fur from the love machine and spray mount from an old project. We also made good use of our sticker printer. To create our mystery box, we used a flat pack cardboard box, a padlock from Amazon, a metal latch from our local DIY store, stickers designed and printed in-house, and some faux fur. The final design featured a collage of warning tape with phrases like "caution" or "official eyes only," reinforcing the "do not scan" messaging. Alien-inspired stickers were mixed in with crime scene-esque tape to create a hectic overall appearance that still hinted at something extraterrestrial. Keeping costs low, we sourced the contents from our local corner shop. The reward needed to be as accessible as the method of interaction, which meant avoiding alcohol, avoiding cigarettes and vapes, avoiding anything too rude or offensive, avoiding anything illegal to post. We eventually settled on chocolate and sweets. A safe bet, as most people like sweets or chocolate, but if they don't, it's something that can easily be regifted. Smarties, being the cheekiest of chocolates, was an obvious choice, paired with retro candy like ring pops for a bit of nostalgia. A lighter. We wanted to include something unexpected and inedible, but also useful. And a scratch card. The scratch card adds another game element to the box, one that we can't control and is also quite cheeky. Reflecting on the initial brief to create a fun and interactive 2D augmented reality experience that was suitable for a broad, diverse audience and inexpensive to make, our final mystery box seemed to do exactly that. The do not scan messaging, combined with the physical padlock, worked in the way that we wanted it to, prompting the receiver to break the rules and scan our QR code. For some, it worked a little bit too well, with two people deciding to defy the padlock and the warnings and look for another potentially more destructive way into the box. We found that receivers who really enjoyed puzzle boxes expected more from the interaction. They felt that there could have been a bit more of a challenge, whilst those who weren't a fan of puzzle boxes thought the level of difficulty was just right. For future boxes, we could tap into both markets, with multiple ways to get into the box and offering the receiver a choice of doing things the easy way or the hard way. Receivers felt that the messaging, story animation, and overall design was consistent and worked really well with the content. These kinds of experiments are important to the larger projects we work on at Kakapo Labs, as they give us the space to tinker with tech, find new use cases and applications for everyday things like QR codes, and of course to have a little fun in the office. They also help us to continue observing and analysing how people interact with technology so that we can continue to improve our user-focused applications. Overall, everyone seemed to enjoy the mystery boxes as much as we enjoyed making them. The best part is that with a simple tweak, our mystery boxes could be adapted to suit almost anyone. We could swap the 2D augmented reality with 3D. Instead of sweets, you could include beauty products or personalized gift sets. The applications for digital interactive mystery boxes are almost endless, but we'd love to hear what you would do with a cardboard box, a padlock, and some matrix equations.